So somebody, one of my subs in the comment section, wanted me to speak on. They wanted me to speak on Stephen Fulton and my thoughts. I did a live on it. I don't think much of it. I mean, I think I said what I needed to say, and when I talked about him missing weight for the fight, I think that said enough. Even about the fight. I mean, it seemed like he was uninterested. Probably, they still mad he took that Nayu Inoue fight. And I think maybe he didn't get money. Maybe he got forced into this fight, or whatever the situation may be. Maybe he had a sickness or an injury. If he still, they were saying he bullshitted around for the Nayu Inoue camp. That sounded like an excuse. Everybody seen how dangerous that man was. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was telling you, like, oh man, you gonna get knocked out for you not to take it serious. Then that just tell me you showed up for the money. That's what that tell me, that you showed up for the bread. So if you come into this fight, you rebuild your brand name up. You know what I'm saying? Get beat up in the beef and broccolis versus Foster, and you didn't come to really, fight. I mean, at the end of the day, man, hey, you need to hang it up. You need to retire. They did some tomfoolery for y'all where they still get the sanction and belt fees. You missed weight, and now it's for Shakur Stevenson's WBC interim lightweight title. Come on now. You feel me? Like, come on now. Like, what are we doing? You come in with a gut. Like I said before, that's up to him. He ain't got to make no excuses. But if he's sick, if he got a cold, ultimately, I don't know. Ultimately, I don't know. But, like if I'm him, do I really train in Philly when the weather breaking? Can you really get adequate training while that weather break in Philly? I mean, that's up to him. I think he should have went somewhere warmer and trained somewhere warmer, especially the fight being in San Antonio. But obviously something was going on. So like I said, I have no inside information, and he ain't the type that's still gonna make excuses. Them dudes in Philly know what's up. I ain't heard them speak about the fight, to be honest. I ain't really seen too many videos on it. He one of the most complete fighters out there. And for him to, show up with that type of performance, you know what I mean? I think we was shocked. With that weigh-in, and maybe he didn't get paid for the fight. Maybe he didn't want the fight, and they forced him to take the fight. You heard what Ryo said. They said about Ryo, they gave him no other chance but to fight Gary Anton Russell. You know what I'm saying? That's unfortunate. And that's a Gary Anton Russell coming off a fucking loss. So, they got their favorites, and they make the promises and all that type of stuff, but, maybe on the business end it wasn't right. And that, by you not coming prepared, that also took away O'Shaquie Foster from his win. That also took away from his greatness. Real talk, that also took away from his greatness. Because you didn't come prepared. You took something away from the fans. I mean, so be it, man. I don't have no ill will towards Fulton. I love Fulton. He's a great fighter. But for the most part, you swindled that shit with Nayu Inoue, and this rumor saying, oh, you didn't take it serious. Like, everybody tell you was fighting the killer. Put the tape on for 2 minutes, you see you fighting the killer. Like, why wouldn't you come correct? This sound like built-in excuses to me. Then you take the fight, you don't put the best showing of yourself, and you get put in the doghouse by Al. You move up in weight, you miss the weight. Only other time I can remember seeing that monitoring was Chris Algieri and Manny Pacquiao. Chris Algieri said, fuck that catch weight. He was a nutritionist by trade. He's a real nutritionist. Pacquiao was always trying to drain somebody. That's why I say when people talk about, how great a fight, man, He wasn't fighting niggas at their full strength and capabilities. They always curve the scale for the other. That's just what it is. He wasn't like, let's keep it real, bro. He wasn't fighting niggas at their full strength and capabilities. He was draining people. And we could just take the other unfair advantage out there. We could take that away. We can take the other unfair advantage away. We just talk about how he wasn't fighting brothers at their best. But teach his own. Teach his own. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe the business wasn't right. Maybe he was sick. Only God and him know what's going on, and the people around him what's going on. But I do know, when you heard talking about Danny Garcia, he had that performance versus Lara where he laid down. You know what I'm saying? He laid down for Lara. It was rumors that he did that for free. So he didn't bring the effort to the table. And next thing you know, he was able to, be a free agent and do his own fight. Deontay Wilder, he wasn't allegedly, he wasn't compensated for the Robert Lanius fight. So therefore, they allowed him to get his freedom papers, his freedom Abraham Lincoln papers, and they allowed him to go, work with the Saudis. They allowed for him to work with the Saudis. So to me, it's looking like the same thing with Fulton, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nothing about Fulton, but from the outside looking in, it seemed like, something ain't right. And that's just my educated guess, my hypothesis. So like I said, I ain't saying I know nothing, but I'm just saying from previous situations, and, it seemed like that's the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, it looked like it's some bullshit. Rayo might be the first Mexican. He might be the first Mexican that Al Heyman fucked over, I can remember. With that Gary Anton Russell shit. That's what it looked like to me. So, but yeah, when you missed the weight, we knew what time it was. If you was on the fence or you picked Fulton, I mean, you like, shit, I should have picked Foster. Foster about to beat his ass. That's why it's so hard to really make predictions weeks and months out. There's so much that can lead up to it. You hear what's going on in camp. There's so much that you hear that's going on in you hear that's going, the week of the fight. You see how they looking and shit like that. And then even up to the weigh-in. Hey, so yeah, it's wild. It's wild, man. So it really, other than that, it really ain't much to speak on, bro. Like, maybe it was financial, maybe it was sickness, maybe it was some, it wasn't right on the business end. Hey, you tell me. You tell me. You tell me. I don't know. But from what I've heard nothing that he said after the fight, but I feel like if he would have said something, it would have went viral in the boxing community, or we would have heard or seen it. So that's how I'm taking, like, we really would have heard something that was, that was excuse or was a reason why. And like, the people around him know why, and they know how Al get down. He been in Al doghouse. Since he took that Inoue fight. He got $3 million for it. That's a lot of money for the 126, 122 pounder. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of money. So, hearing this story, both of their stories, Foster and Fulton, man. I mean, let's listen to Fulton's story about how he came up, and all that stuff, bro. I got nothing bad to say about the brother, man. And everybody don't understand the you know, the shit that young black men go through, man. Like, man, like a lot of us lucky to be here. We ain't supposed to be here. And hearing his story and shit like that, bro, like, I shouldn't have, you know, nothing bad to say about the brother, man. Him or Foster. Hearing his story, Foster sound like his story a little bit more self-inflicted wounds. But yeah, he has some other shit going on. This is why I'm just an advocate for don't have kids if you ain't gonna have a 2-parent household. And ultimately that control, that's left up to the system and the woman. You know, we know the women in the community, they want to do it by themselves. So my thing to guys is go find a woman. If you want to do that, that's gonna raise your children as a team. And if you can't find that, don't have children. Flat out. Don't put yourself in that position where your child hates you, or you wasn't there and you deemed a deadbeat father and shit like that because of a woman's how she feel. And they all do it. They all do it. The ones that change up or think about doing it don't do it. A lot of times they got a great male influence, a man's influence around them. But hey, man, hit the link in the description. Check me out on X, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, Amazon, Kick, the whole nine. Join the Patreon. Everything inside the link tree is the first link in the description. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.